Fellas, in today's video, I'll be covering the Incredible Hulk in this simplified Marvel Rivals guide. Hulk is a Vanguard, a tank with a unique mechanic. He is an incredibly tanky hero who gets a second life, and his ultimate, bigger, badder, better in every way. Learning to play Hulk will make you an asset to any team that you play on. Hulk does not seem too complicated to learn on the surface, but managing your abilities, positioning, and who to focus on can make him rather tricky at first, leading to a faux sense of safety that really isn't there. Then for times when you do hit 0 health, you'll transform back into Bruce Banner until your ultimate charges again. Honestly, in this case, getting matches under your belt will be the best method for getting better with him, as his toolkit is rather simple. In this video, his combos, playstyle, and more will be covered, so whether you're new to Hulk or need a seasonal refresher, this video will be for you. His offensive toolkit consists of, as Bruce, his Gamma Gun, which shoots awkwardly but charges your ultimate incredibly fast, and his Gamma Grenade, which launches enemies and allows Bruce a quick escape. As Hero Hulk, he has his basic punch for good range and speed, and his second attack, which is a projectile that hits rather well and can be used often. And then for Hulk's ultimate, that's right, a second ultimate, this transforms him into Monster Hulk, which again is a bigger, badder, and stronger version of him, with a ton of more health and a special move. His defensive support kit consists of, for Bruce, he powers up Doctor Strange and Iron Man, giving Hulk bonus health, and his ultimate, which will transform him into the Incredible Hulk. Hulk also has a shield ability that can be shared and can be used to stay safe from ultimates like Doctor Strange's. He has a lockdown ability that will stun enemies for easy kills, and then his mobility relies on his incredible leap that lets him cling to walls, and he can throw Wolverine if he's on the team. So that was a lot. Let's take a deeper dive into his abilities and see how to use them. There's a ton to cover, so I will be keeping this short and sweet. There's 3 parts, which as follows: Bruce Banner, Regular Hulk, and Monster Hulk. When Hulk dies and respawns, he will start off as Bruce Banner. Thankfully, his ultimate will always be charged, but it can be tedious having to Hulk out all the time. And Hulk will transform into Bruce Banner when he hits 0 health. So starting off with Bruce's basic attack, that is Gamma Ray Gun. This does hit for 16 damage per shot. It can crit and does 5 shots a second with 25 shots per reload. It is an awkward projectile, meaning you do have to lead your target in order to get the shots in. This, however, does charge your ultimate incredibly fast, although more often than not, you'll just probably die. So next up we have Gamma Grenade. Sounds as simple as it is. You toss a grenade, and this will launch the target back, or yourself if it hits you as well, dealing 40 damage. It does have a 3-meter radius, but the most important thing is that if you go into that spell field when it's down, it will restore 50 points towards your ultimate, and it has an 8-second cooldown, so you can use this fairly often. So when you play as Hulk and you do reach 0 health, it does take a few seconds to actually transform into Bruce Banner. I find the best thing to do is aim this at your feet. This will knock back the target as well as yourself, allowing for a potential escape. But again, as soon as you do transform into Hulk, odds are you probably will be killed, but that is one of the best things to do just to try to stay alive. And then next up, we do have his ultimate for Bruce, that is Puny Banner. You hit the Q button and you transform into Hulk. And this is who you want to play as majority of the time. You don't have to worry though, as you will be invincible during the transformation, but not afterwards, so you do have to be a little bit careful. So as the Hulk, your basic bread and butter attack will be Heavy Blow. This will hit for 40 damage every half second or so, and it has a really good range of about 4.5 meters. This will be something that you use all the time on just about everyone. And I think that's the best range for a melee character for constantly hitting. And just one quick thing while I am on the topic, you can use your scroll button to switch between each of the heroes just so that you know what their abilities are, as you can see on the left there. Now for a second attack, that is going to be Gamma Burst. What this does is it pierces the enemy for 70 damage, going at a speed of about 80 meters a second. It does have an 8-second cooldown, so again, use this often, especially on those trying to get away. But one thing to keep in mind is that it does fire very awkwardly. So right now I'm aiming directly ahead, and it only hit the first target, going flying up over in that direction. So this can be a little bit clunky, especially if you are prepared for it. Aiming a bit to the left will be the way to hit those shots, as when you aim a bit to the left, that goes forward and hits how you want. And I believe that's a third-person shooter design. It is a little bit clunky to get used to, but that's just how it is. One thing I do want to cover just while I'm thinking about it, in your settings, whether it's keyboard or controller, in combat, you'll have your hero here you could choose, or have it be general. If you scroll down to your hero settings, you can turn on attack range hints. This will highlight an enemy that's within your primary attack range. Definitely doesn't hurt to have on, in fact I'd recommend it. Although for the most part, you're going to be swinging anyways. It's not too useful on Hulk, but it does help. But the big one will be hold to activate Incredible Leap. You want to turn that off. The reason why you want to turn that off is with Incredible Leap, you can hold the spacebar to perform a charged leap. That will allow you to jump pretty far, and you can knock enemies out of the air. Now, if you turn off that setting, you can just tap your jump button and this will charge for you. And that way you can tap it again when you're ready to jump without having to hold on to it. Otherwise, you will have to focus the entire time of holding your jump button, which can be a little bit of a pain. There is a downside with that, is that this is a charged ability. So while you can activate it early, if you do end up charging it and then letting it rest at its full charge, this will forever be here until you do use it. And so if you are trying to get a smaller jump in during that main time, that can mess you up a tiny bit, but it's not going to be something that you will often find. And so just to cover his charge leap, it has a minimum charge time of 0.7 seconds with a max charge time of 2 seconds. This will allow you to choose how far you want to jump, as you can see it built up here. Again, this is great for getting into clusters, surprise attacks, things like that. You can also hold the space button when you reach a wall to hold on to the wall. This will allow you to get in some surprise attacks as well. And so this setting will entirely be up to you on how you want to use it. You don't have to turn off this setting. And if it is something that does mess you up a lot, absolutely keep it on, just so that you focus on charging the jump yourself. Otherwise, if you don't want to care about that, you just press the jump button, it will charge up for you. Then when you're ready to use your leap, you have it fully charged and you can just jump right away. And now one of its most important abilities is radioactive lockdown. What this does is you shoot out a gamma ray basically, and it locks down an enemy until you hit them again or 2 seconds have passed. It has a 15-second cooldown, and the enemy can move early if you do happen to hit them with either of your attacks as the Hulk. But the lockdown is very, very strong. It can stop an enemy from using their ultimate. And it does do 5 damage, which isn't a lot, but everything helps. Overall, I think it is a good projectile speed, going about 100 meters a second. I find this best will be used on a target where your teammates are nearby, just so that they do have that 2 seconds to get in and swarm them, getting a quick and easy kill. And then lastly, we do have Indestructible Guard. What this does is generates a gamma shield for both Hero Hulk and nearby allies. There we go. Within a 5-meter radius, the Hulk shield will have about 200 health, while your allies have about 100. And the damage that you block on Hulk shield will give you that amount of damage towards your ultimate. Whereas with your allies, they will only get 10% of their shield, meaning if an enemy knocks out your ally's shield, you get 10 bonus gamma towards your ultimate. Overall, I don't think it's that great of a shield compared to some of the other ones, but the most interesting part about it is that it can stop ultimates. So if Doctor Strange is in the middle of your group about to pop off his ultimate, you can throw down your shield and this will save your allies who are within that spell area. I don't think too many people actually know about that part. It's very, very useful and you should use it as often as you can, but do keep an eye on your team and where the enemy team is, just so you don't waste it right before an ultimate happens. We do have Hulk's ultimate, which is Hulk Smash. Like Bruce Banner, you hit your ultimate button and you turn into Monster Hulk. It lasts 12 seconds, and again, you are immune during that transformation. Now, there's not too much of a difference with Hulk during this, besides doing more damage and further, with some cooldowns being a little bit changed. But the coolest part about it is that you do get a special move, which you press Q again near an enemy, and you do a 5-hit move for 40 damage each. And then afterwards, when you de-transform back into Hulk, you are invincible again, but do be careful of your surroundings. As Monster Hulk, your basic hit now does 70 damage. It's a tiny bit slower, but has more range. The real treat and what you should use as often as you can is the Gamma Burst, your second attack, just like that. It will go slightly slower for the projectile speed, but it now does 125 damage per hit, which is half the health of a squishy, and it can be used every second, meaning you should be using that pretty much the entire time. You could chain that with your basic attack to launch an enemies in the flying, and that should kill most enemies, especially if they are damaged. And then, as you see with the timer on the right hand side, you can press your Q button. That will extend it just a little bit longer, and you do get a 30% damage reduction during that attack. And then lastly, he does have his lockdown ability, which is pretty much the same. No shield though, so do be careful. He'll have around 1550 health, so you're incredibly tanky during this time. And something that is of note but not super important is his max leap charge time does change to be half a second faster, with a tiny bit of extra distance to the minimum leap distance. It's not something that you'll notice, but it is a bonus effect. And then to top everything off, if you have a team up with Wolverine, you both can hit a button to interact and agree. When you do so, you can throw Wolverine up to 20 meters. I never found any real use for it, but I think it's kind of funny to see. And with the team up of Doctor Strange and Iron Man, you get bonus health of about 150, and they get gamma upgrades. So that's the gist of his abilities. Let's hop into some matches to see all of this in action. At higher ranks, Hulk does get banned fairly often, so it's safe to say he won't be getting much changes to him in the future. A key thing to keep in mind is that his Hulk is not like the one in the comics. You're not going to be jumping into the enemy team and causing havoc. It'll be for the best to take some space by playing around cover and walls and using your clapping ability, your second ability, as much as possible. The time to jump into the enemy team will be when your team is pushed up and they are close by to help take aggro and heal. Otherwise, Hulk will get melted. I found the best way to play the Hulk is as a tank assassin, like Spider-Man or Iron Fist. Bother and harass the enemy supporters, have them constantly be trying to stay alive and survive, so your team can focus on the enemy frontline, who won't be getting the heals. Keeping the jump charged will allow you to move around during this time, and will let you get back to your healers to stay alive. This primarily only works if your team does have a second tank as well, creating space. Focusing the backline also works great if you have another diver on your team, allowing you to dive with them, giving them a shield if needed, and taking attention away, allowing them to get the kill or to get away. If there's more than one enemy you're facing or they're a nimble character, this is where the lockdown ability really shines, as this stops that player from moving for a few seconds as long as you don't hit them, making them an easy pick. Hulk really shines with being able to win close 1v1 fights, as well as his mobility. Use these strengths to your benefit to get around and to get some surprise kills. All in all, Hulk doesn't have much of a combo kit to really suggest. His fists do most of the talking. In 1v1 fights, you can use your shield as often as possible, and it's a great rebuke to Namor's Octopi or even to Thor. You can also use the clapping ability on foes trying to get away or even as an opener. I really can't suggest more than punch, 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 and throw in a shield if you can. Now, Thor and Penny are both good counters to Hulk, especially Penny, as she can use her Spider Mine, which takes a bit to destroy, and her stun ability is a nightmare for Hulk, especially if she hits him in the air. So what do you do once you die as the Hulk? Majority of the time, you'll be insta-killed as Bruce Banner, as players will wait around to get that kill. Other times, you'll be able to throw your grenade at your feet. This will launch you away in the enemy's back, plus it charges your ultimate by 12%. From there, it's a battle of doing little damage from your backlines until your ult charges. Oh, and speaking of ults, the most I can suggest as a combo with the Monster Hulk, so the third Hulk form, is do one basic attack and then do your clap attack. Then repeat. You can use the special attack at the end to extend the ultimate, and you do get reduced damage from that, but I can't suggest using that special attack any earlier, as it is kind of weak, only doing 40 damage per the 5 hits, and it does take up a lot of time to actually get off. Whereas you could do a punch and then the clap ability in about 1 second total, which will give about 200 or so damage, plus knockback. Overall, the Hulk is a very complex character. There's a lot to him to appreciate, and again, he does get banned fairly often, especially in the higher ranks, but he is a menace and hard to deal with, especially for how annoying they can be to your backline. And that's a wrap on this simple Hulk Marvel Rivals guide. Tell me, did I miss anything, or do you have any tips of your own that you think other people should know? Leave it in the comments below. And hey, hit that like button if you're still watching, subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already, and stay tuned for the next one.